All right, how's everybody doing? Hey, we're back again. Hey, this is Michael M. Hotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. So we should be live on Facebook. Looks like we're coming on live on Facebook. We're broadcasting on Crowdcast. We're on our Facebook pages as well. Dealing with this breaking news story. I was already planning to deal with two topics. Number one, coming out of Mississippi, you have this incredible story about a lawsuit from the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, about a sheriff's department in Mississippi that has been targeting African Americans for decades. Okay. And I was already going to talk about that story. And we're going to do a brief overview of an online class I'm teaching tonight at about 8 p.m. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade. What they didn't, not that one, Richard Nixon's war on drugs. Okay. Now somebody's saying there's no audio. Okay. Hold on. Should be audio. Hold on. Let me check something. Class I'm teaching. Check it. Okay. So we're getting audio. Let me see. We should have audio. Refresh your screen if there's no audio. Let's see. Testing. Okay, there's audio coming through. So refresh your screen if there's no audio. Okay. You should have audio. Refresh your screen if there's no audio. That's my phone. Refresh your screen. Okay, so we're live on Facebook. Okay, good. All right, so I was already planning to do a preview of a class I'm teaching tonight on Richard Nixon's war on drugs and the war on the African American community, and I was going to talk about this crazy story out of Mississippi. There's a lawsuit from the ACLU about a sheriff's department in Mississippi that has been, it's in Madison County in Mississippi, that has been targeting African Americans for decades. And I was going to talk about that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But then this breaking news story broke a little more than an hour ago about FBI Director James Comey firing. About FBI Director James Comey being fired by Donald Trump. Now, I don't call him president because he's not my president unless I'm reading an article and it says president. Okay. And this just came out of the clear blue. Now, reports are saying, and we posted a couple articles about this. We posted an article from the Washington Post on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and on my personal page, Michael M. Hotep, I've posted a few articles. I think we posted an article from thehill.com also. Now, this is a very fluid story because more details are coming in. But we know Sally Yates testified yesterday. Former Assistant Attorney General Sally Yates testified yesterday. Okay. And this was the U.S. Senate Intel Committee. And it was damaging testimony dealing with in regards to Donald Trump and letting the Trump administration know that his national security advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, was dirty. Okay, and was contacting the Russian ambassador and was vulnerable to being blackmailed. Okay, it took the Trump administration 18 days to actually fire Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, and President Obama fired him back in 2014. All right, now today he fires FBI Director James Comey. Now it's important to understand that March 20th. FBI Director James Comey spoke in front of the U.S. Senate Intel Committee. Okay, and he stated that the FBI has an open investigation into the Donald Trump campaign and possible ties to Russia and possible collusion with Russia in regards to the 2016 presidential campaign. Okay, he revealed this March 20th. Now, if you look at the article, and I have a bunch of articles here, so you got to give me, just bear with me because I'm looking at different tabs. I have about 80 tabs open in Firefox. Okay, so March 20th, there was an article from the Washington Post. FBI Director Comey confirms probe of possible coordination between Kremlin and Trump campaign. FBI Director Comey confirms probe of possible coordination between Kremlin and the Trump campaign. Okay. And what you're going to see here, you're going to see a pattern. You're going to see a pattern of Donald Trump firing people who are getting too close in these investigations. All right. So this was very damaging for him to come out and say that this investigation was going on. And this investigation had been going on since July of 2016, which meant that this investigation was going on during the presidential campaign leading up to the election November 8th. The Trump campaign was under FBI investigation for possible ties to Russia and possible collusion with Russia. Okay. Now, you have Sally Yates, who testified yesterday. Okay. And if you look at the article from the Washington Post, 5 things we learned from Sally Yates. And what I'm going to do, those watching here on Facebook, how's everybody doing? Okay. And this story just broke, this story broke. I was watching MSNBC, and Chuck Todd broke this story. And I immediately went to the Washington Post, WashingtonPost.com, and saw the story there, and all these other. This has been going across my timeline. Okay, so the Washington Post has an article from yesterday, May 8th. 5 things we learned from Sally Yates' testimony on what the White House knew about Michael Flynn. Okay, so it says on Monday, we learned much more about the moment that brought down Michael Flynn, the national security advisor, whom President Trump fired less than a month into the job for misleading Vice President Pence about his conversations with Russia's ambassador to the White House. Okay, so he gets fired 24 days in, right? So what we see is a pattern. Sally Yates contacts the White House counsel and says, look, I got to meet with you. This is some very important information. She goes to the White House twice, reveals this information because when Flynn was contacting the Russian ambassador, this was while President Obama was still president, 1. Number 2, when you have communications like this, and Malcolm Nance, who is a counterterrorist expert, and you see him on MSNBC, African-American, very, very brilliant brother. And other people, other counterterrorist experts and experts in this area, they say when you contact a foreign government that's an adversary of the U.S. government, okay, there's a transcript of that conversation. That communication is monitored. And Lieutenant General Michael Flynn should have known it was monitored. So what was coming out is that in his conversations, some things were possibly said that were not the same, not the way that were presented to the press, presented by the administration, which opens him up to being blackmailed, because also on the Russia end, they have a transcript. They're recording the conversation as well. All right. So she goes and tells them that this guy could be open to being blackmailed. He stays on the job for 18 days longer, right? She gets fired. She gets fired after about 10 days on the job. And they use the excuse. Now notice this, because we're going to get the Preet Bharara. Well, we see a pattern with Trump. We see Sally Yates. We see former U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara, U.S. Attorney of Manhattan, and his jurisdiction included Trump Tower. And now we see FBI Director James Comey. Okay. So with Sally Yates, they fired her because they said that she did not want to enforce, as acting attorney general. Okay. She did not want to enforce Donald Trump's Muslim ban, the travel ban. Okay. Because basically she said this ban, I'm reading this. She said this ban is unconstitutional. Okay. This is basically what she's saying. She's saying it's unlawful. So they used that as the excuse to fire her. Right. But when she was fired, we didn't know that she had already outed Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. We found that after the fact, a few weeks afterwards, we find this out. We go to Preet Bharara. Okay. Now you haven't heard a whole lot of Preet Bharara lately, right? U.S. Attorney, former U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara, okay, of Manhattan. So this guy was, now there are 93 U.S. attorneys, right? 93 U.S. attorneys. Preet Bharara, his jurisdiction included Manhattan, where Trump Tower is. Okay. Now, he was asked by Trump on November 30th. He met with Trump on November 30th at Trump Tower before Trump took the oath of office, and he was asked to stay on as U.S. attorney for his district. Okay, he agreed. And they had it's in the media. They had the brief statement from Preet Bharara after the meeting with Trump. He's at Trump Tower. Okay. Now, on a Friday, and I'll pull this up. I'll get the exact date. This article is from ProPublica, right? March 17th. Fired U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara said to have been investigating Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price. See, when you look at Preet Bharara, he was investigating all these different things surrounding Donald Trump. He was investigating Deutsche Bank and Deutsche Bank laundering $10 billion in Russian money, allegedly dirty Russian money, okay? Laundering this through Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank just so happens to be the largest creditor of Donald Trump. He owes Deutsche Bank approximately $300 million, all right? So, well, the remaining U.S. attorneys, they were asked for their resignation on a Friday, okay? And I'm going to pull up this article. I want to find this exact article here. And there's an article from ProPublica, okay? So what happened was that Wednesday, three watchdog groups asked Preet Bharara to investigate the Trump administration for possible violations of the emoluments clause, which is Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution, the emoluments clause, okay? And there were news articles about this. This was not a secret. I saw news articles. I saw Washington Post. I saw ProPublica. I saw news articles about this. Now, when the articles came out on that Wednesday, I didn't know who Preet Bharara was. By Friday, I knew who Preet Bharara was because he was being fired. He was asked for his resignation. He refused. Then I think it was that Saturday he got fired. I think that's how it happened. It was the next day he refused to give his resignation. The next day he was fired, right? So if we look at what Preet Bharara was investigating, okay, he was said to have been investigating Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price for illegal stock trades, okay, stock trades regarding health companies or something like this, which would have been a conflict of interest. All right, he was also investigating Fox News, okay? Fox News behind sexual harassment lawsuits. Fox News having to settle sexual harassment lawsuits and pay out millions of dollars to settle sexual harassment lawsuits, including the ones regarding Roger Ailes. Now, Roger Ailes was the founder and he was the CEO of Fox News. He just got ousted a few months ago behind sexual harassment lawsuits, and Fox News had to pay out millions of dollars. He was investigating this, Preet Bharara. Roger Ailes is good friends with Donald Trump. Roger Ailes is good friends with Donald Trump, okay? So Preet Bharara was investigating this. He's investigating Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank was already fined millions and millions of dollars for laundering dirty money from Russia, $10 billion, but he's investigating this. Trump Towers was in Preet Bharara's jurisdiction, okay? Because Manhattan was his jurisdiction, all right? And let me pull up this article here. So, okay, so that's Health and Human Services. Let me look at another one here because I have a bunch of these articles bookmarked about Preet Bharara. All right. But the real thing was you had these three watchdog groups that asked Preet Bharara to investigate if the Trump administration was if Donald Trump was violating the emoluments clause. And this was known. Okay. This was in the media. So he gets fired. And there's no telling what else he was investigating. There's no telling what else Preet Bharara was investigating. So now you have FBI Director James Comey, and we know that the FBI has an open investigation into investigating into possible collusion with the Trump campaign and Russia. Okay, we see all this swirling around. We see Sally Yates fired yesterday. I mean, we see Sally Yates testimony yesterday. Okay, so now he fires FBI Director James Comey after he just asked him to stay on. Maybe what, 3 months? I think it was January, February. He just asked FBI Director James Comey to stay on, and he gets fired today. Now, part of the excuse that they gave was he misstated the number of emails that Hillary Clinton forwarded to Uma Abedin that was stated to be classified. Okay, all right. Well, look at how many lies Donald Trump has told. Look at how many lies Sean Spicer, White House press secretary, has told, standing up in front of the podium at the press secretary at the White House daily press secretary daily briefing. Okay. So you use that as an excuse. Now, when you look at the other reasons why they give, right? You look at the other reasons why they give. This is stuff that Trump already knew and everybody already knew when you asked them to stay on. So, it asked the question, you start asking the question, well, wait a second. Maybe it was something else. Because it looks like with Sally Yates, it looks like the reason why you fired her was because she outed your guy, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. It looks like with Preet Bharara, why you fired him after you asked him to stay on November 30th was because he was getting too close and he's involved in these investigations. Then you look at FBI Director James Comey. Okay, and you fire him. After March 20th, he announced an open investigation. He just testified again last week as well in front of the I think it was the U.S. Senate. Okay. This article here from NBC News: Trump fires FBI Director James Comey over email investigation. All right. Now, President Donald Trump fired FBI Director James Comey on Tuesday after senior Justice Department officials concluded that he mishandled the investigation of Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server while she was Secretary of State. Okay. You are hereby terminated and removed from office effective immediately, Trump told Comey in a personally signed letter obtained by NBC News. While I greatly appreciate your informing me on 3 occasions that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the bureau. Okay. Now, I don't know where that came from, him saying he's not under investigation. I don't know where that came from. We're going to have to fact check that. Okay. We'll have to fact check that. Definitely. All right. But what's important to note, and I think we're still broadcasting here. Okay. Let me check this on Facebook. What's important to note is that just like I had predicted before Trump won, Trump is not used to having people work for him who he can't control. Trump is not used to having people work for him he can't control. He ran a family business. It wasn't even a publicly traded company. He ran a family business. Okay. And now you're in politics where you got people who you can't control. Okay. Where you have people who you can't control. And Trump signed this letter. So somebody said that Trump wrote it as false. Yeah, read these articles. Okay, we'll post an article here from NBC News. Okay, because Trump signed this letter. Trump is owning this, that he fired him. Now, here's the problem, right? Here's one of the problems. Ain't the only problem. Here's one of the problems. Trump is trying to take focus off of Russia. He keeps saying Russia's fake news. He keeps tweeting that the Russia story is fake news and all this stuff. And Sally Yates buried him yesterday. Sally Yates kicked Senator Ted Cruz behind yesterday also, right? So now with Trump firing FBI Director James Comey, and everybody knows there's an open investigation, the FBI investigation into the Trump campaign, and it could possibly go into the Trump administration. I guarantee it's going to go into the Trump administration, because the 35-page dossier that former ex MI6 agent Christopher Steele compiled, that dossier that he compiled, he turned that over to the FBI in July of 2016. So the FBI had it, and they have been investigating it and corroborating a lot of information in there. If you watch the Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Rachel Maddow has been right on top of this, and she's been dealing with a lot of this. Okay, so personally, I think just like Sally Yates, just like U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara, I think FBI Director James Comey was fired because he's getting too close. Trump knows he's getting too close, and the walls are closing in on him. Okay. Now this causes another problem. So the next FBI director is going to be somebody that Trump appoints, which could actually end this investigation, which is more reason why in Senator Kamala Harris from California, she posted an article from the AP a little while ago, and we posted this on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. She said this is even more reason why you have to have a independent investigation. And I totally agree. She said this is exactly the reason why you have to have an independent investigation into this. Okay, because it has to be people who Trump can't interfere with, has to be people Trump can't fire, etc. But this guy Trump is a control freak. He's used to having people around him who are intimidated by him. He's used to having people around him who he can fire. And Comey was not intimidated by him. Comey was not intimidated by him. So and Michelle Waring on Facebook said special prosecutors needed. Absolutely, special prosecutors needed. And I'm telling you, when all this information comes out, because if you watch my broadcast, you listen to my radio show, you know I've been following this for months. I read the CrowdStrike report months ago. I read the Fidelis report months ago. These were two of the four cybersecurity companies that investigated the Russian hacking of the DNC, Democratic National Committee. Okay, I read those reports. I've been saying for months, no, this is Russia behind this. Russia tried to interfere with the election in France. That was Russia behind that as well. Okay, so the cybersecurity experts are looking at this and they're realizing they realize, look, they know Russia's behind this. So what you're going to find out is that all these people surrounding Trump are dirty. You're going to find out all these people surrounding Trump are dirty. They all have a Russian connection. Okay. And there was just a chart from CNN. There was just a chart. Let me see if we could bring this up. There was just a chart from CNN that showed all these people around Trump and their connection to Russia, their connection to Vladimir Putin, their connection to Sergei Kislyak, the Russian ambassador to the U.S., all this stuff. Okay, we'll see if we could pull. We'll see if we could pull this up, because you have to see that. I think we posted it yesterday. Yeah, it's called The Many Paths from Trump. I have about over 3,000 articles bookmarked, so you got to give me a minute here. I have to do a keyword search to pull up a lot of this information. Okay. All right. So what's going to be scary is who will Trump appoint next as FBI director? Now, if I remember correctly, I think the FBI director has to go through a Senate confirmation hearing. If I remember correctly, I think the FBI director has to go through a Senate confirmation hearing. Okay. And Stephanie Tisdale said you warned us. Yeah, I warned people for months about Trump leading up to November 8th. I warned people about this guy. This guy is mentally ill also. There's an article from I think it's rawstory.com 35 psychiatrists they were at a conference at Yale University, and they determined that he is mentally ill. There's an article from this just came out last month. We'll post this link here. Yeah, they have to go through it here. This is a U.S. Senate confirmation hearing for FBI director. U.S. Senate confirmation hearing for FBI director. Okay. And even though in the U.S. Senate, Republicans dominate 52 to 48, you still get some checks and balances there, because the thing with the National Security Advisor is that there is no that did not need Senate confirmation hearing for National Security Advisor. That did not need Senate confirmation hearing. Okay. So just very quickly, I'm going to get through this. We're going to talk about this quick story in Mississippi. I'm going to do an overview of our online class, Richard Nixon's War on Drugs and the War on the African American Community. We just posted the link. We posted a link before. We'll post it again here. You can register for this course. I'm teaching this course tonight. We're going to start in about 20 minutes. We're running behind schedule because of this breaking news story, but we're going to start in about 20 minutes tonight. All the sessions are recorded. This is the first session. Richard Nixon's War on Drugs. You know, Richard Nixon declared his war on drugs June 17th, 1971. Okay. And it was based upon a lie. We deal with the history of drug laws. We go back to 1875 and the anti-opium laws in California. We deal with Richard Nixon. We deal with Ronald Reagan's war on drugs in 1982. We deal with the foundation of the school to prison pipeline in 1986, partly because of Nancy Reagan and her Just Say No campaign. We deal with the crime bill in 1994. And a lot of people misunderstand that crime bill in 1994 also. We break that down because Senator Joe Biden was the chief architect and main sponsor of that crime bill. He worked on that bill for 6 years. Clinton signed it his second year in office. He signed it September 13th, 1994. Okay. But we tied this into what's going on today because under Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, the current attorney general appointed by Donald John Trump, they are ramping up the war on drugs all over again after it was winding down under President Obama. And this is an example why when you have bad information, you make bad decisions, because there were a lot of things that President Obama put in place to have a winding down of the war on drugs. And a lot of people don't know that the U.S. prison population right now is the lowest it's been in about 20 years. Down to 1.53 million. A lot of people, it's not 2.3 million anymore. No. Read the Department of Justice report from December 2016 that talks about this. And this is because President Obama instructed his Department of Justice, okay, under Attorney General Loretta Lynch and former Attorney General Loretta Lynch and former Attorney General Eric Holder to back off of prosecuting low-level drug crimes with the harshest punishment. Okay. Well, Jeff Sessions is looking at ramping that up all over again. If you look at the article just today, from the Washington Post. Sessions weighs return to harsher punishments for low-level drug crimes. Sessions weighs return to harsher punishments for low-level drug crimes. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is reviewing policy changes set in place by the Obama administration that eliminated harsh punishments for low-level drug crimes and could direct federal prosecutors to again charge drug offenders with crimes carrying the most severe penalties, according to U.S. officials. Okay. Now, this was under President Obama. Now, a lot of people who haven't done the research, and I can tell what they haven't read by what they say. A lot of people who haven't done the research said, oh, President Obama didn't do this. He didn't do that. He didn't do this. Right. Now, if you study Jeff Sessions and the policies he's implementing are undoing policies that President Obama had in place. So how could Jeff Sessions undo what Obama did if Obama didn't do anything in the first place? How could Jeff Sessions undo what Obama did if Obama didn't do anything in the first place? Okay, these are some of the things we deal with in the online course, because it's supposed to be 2 sessions, but it's going to be 3 because I'm looking at the amount of information I have and I'm adding to it. So it's going to be 3 sessions. It's taking place tonight. Is going to take place as soon as I finish here. So we're going to start at about 8:20 p.m. hopefully, or 8:30, because I have to be on the radio at 11. I'm on Mike Bonner's show on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation tonight. It's a busy night. It's a busy night, but this breaking news story, I had to cover this because this is serious. Okay. But now a lot of people don't know this also. Okay. Check this out. And I cover this stuff on a daily basis. All right. April 15th, AtlantaBlackStar.com had this article. AG Sessions, forensic science panel that helps keep innocent people out of prison is unnecessary. Forensic science panel that helps keep innocent people out of prison is unnecessary. This is Jeff Sessions saying this. Well, who created this panel? It was created by President Barack Obama in 2013. And this panel was designed to keep innocent people out of prison. The name of the panel is the National Commission on Forensic Sciences. The National Commission on Forensic Sciences. This commission was started by President Obama in 2013 in partnership with the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, at the U.S. Department of Commerce to enhance the practice and improve the reliability of forensic science. To enhance the practice and improve the reliability of forensic science. Okay. This was designed to keep innocent people from being convicted and going to prison because of bad science. Well, Jeff Sessions, who's law and order, who thinks that President Obama's 2000 initiative of Get Smart on Crime, he thinks that's going soft on crime. Okay. He's saying this is not necessary anymore. Oh, really? Is that what you think? Well, look at this story out of Boston, Massachusetts. Epic drug lab scandal results in more than 20,000 convictions dropped. Epic drug lab scandal results in more than 20,000 convictions dropped. So you had this what was her position? She was a drug lab chemist. Okay. Her name is Annie Dookhan, Dookahn. Okay. And this was in Boston, Massachusetts. And she was a chemist. She falsified over 20,000 drug results and resulting in thousands of people, tens of thousands of people going to prison because of falsified drug results. Okay. This came out, this article was April 18, 2017. Now, I had been watching this story because I first found out about this story in 2012. All right. So now you have Jeff Sessions saying that a commission that President Obama put in place that most people didn't even know existed because they don't do research and say Obama didn't do nothing. And I asked the question, when did you go verify that? When did you research the record? Did you look at the White House? Did you look at the at whitehouse.gov? Progress of the African-American community under the Obama administration? Did you look at that list that shows how policies from the Obama administration positively impacted the African-American community? Did you read that? That's always Exhibit A that I deal with. Now, there were some shortcomings and I had some disagreements with policies and things like that. But to say that he didn't do anything for African-Americans, that's just demonstrably wrong. That's just not true. That's just factually inaccurate. Okay. Now, yeah, he also did over 1,000 exonerations, I think it was as well. But then you look at this right here, blackvoices.com, Huffington Post, March 7th, 2017, innocent blacks more likely than whites to be wrongfully convicted. Innocent blacks more likely than whites to be wrongfully convicted. The U.S. set a record for exonerations in 2016 for the third consecutive year. So in this article, March 7th, 2017, the majority of the 2,000 people in the United States formally exonerated of crimes they never committed are black, according to a new report examining the relationship between race and wrongful convictions. The majority of the 2,000 people in the United States formally exonerated of crimes they never committed are African American. This is according to a new report examining the relationship between race and wrongful convictions. In addition, the majority of more than 1,800 innocent defendants framed by law enforcement since 1989 in widespread police scandals are African American, says the report called Race and Wrongful Convictions in the United States. Let me repeat this. These are some of the things we deal with in this online class that I'm about to teach tonight. Richard Nixon's war on drugs and the war on the African American community. The majority of the more than 1,800 innocent defendants framed by law enforcement since 1989 in widespread police scandals are African American. This is according to the report Race and Wrongful Convictions in the United States. This was published in early March of 2017. Okay. So the report says, judging from the cases we know, a substantial majority of innocent people who are convicted of crimes in the United States are African Americans. The report examines exonerations for defendants who had been wrongfully convicted of murder, sexual assault, and drug crimes since 1989. Okay. All right. So let me post this. I'm going to post this here also. So you can register for this online course that I'm teaching here this evening. We're going to start up probably about 8:30. As soon as I finish here, we're going to start up. Richard Nixon's war on drugs and the war on the African American community. Richard Nixon's war on drugs and the war on the African American community. We'll post this here. Okay, I got to refresh my screen. We'll post it here in just a minute here. Okay, we'll post a link. The class is only $15. Originally, it's going to be 2 sessions, but looking at the amount of information that I have, it's going to be 3 2-hour sessions, total 6 hours. All the sessions are recorded. If you miss any of it, you can go back and watch it over and over again. All the sessions are recorded. If you miss any of it, you can go back and watch it over and over again. Okay. And then the other online classes that I teach, I have a class on Friday that we just started up, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So you can check that out also. Okay, so we just posted the link there. So you can register. It says, yeah, we just posted a link there. Register here for how Richard Nixon's war on drugs was a war on the African American community, because we deal with the history of the war on drugs, and we deal with how drug laws are disproportionately enforced among African Americans as well. And we deal with how to fight against this also. Because people are fighting back as well. Okay, so share this broadcast on your own Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. And you can register for that class and join us in class. We'll try to get some of your comments. Ryan, troll, mad because we're addressing a real problem. Okay, so I'll have to, Ryan pops up again. If he's a troll, we'll block him. All right. We block trolls sometimes. Sometimes we embarrass trolls. Sometimes we embarrass trolls so badly, they wish they were never born. Okay. But all right. So now out of Mississippi, you got this crazy story out of Mississippi. And I deal with facts and evidence. So when these trolls come in here, they ain't bringing no facts and evidence. I'll wear them out. Because see, I come with the facts and evidence, so I'll wear them out with that type of information. All right, so you have this. Okay, you know what? This is what we do. We'll do the one for Mississippi. We'll do that at the end. I'm gonna do a quick overview of this online course that I'm teaching here in a few minutes. Richard Nixon's war on drugs and the war on the African American community. Richard Nixon's war on drugs and the war on the African American community. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do a quick overview of that. And let me turn the screen share on here. And this is freezing up here. Let's open up another window. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's turn the screen share on. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is a we'll do about a 15-minute overview of this online class that I teach. How Richard Nixon's war on drugs, Richard Nixon's war on drugs, and the war on the African American community. Richard Nixon's war on drugs, and the war on the African American community. Okay, so in all these sessions, we do them live. We do the class live. You can ask questions during the class. It's an online class. Tune in from around the world, and all the sessions are recorded. So you miss anything, you can go back and watch it over and over again. All the sessions are recorded. Okay. All right. Now, let me bring this back up here. Firefox is running slowly, so let me try to restart that. Okay. So let's go to some of this presentation here. All right. Okay, so for those who are not familiar with me, I'm Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. And I'm the founder of the fan page that we have here, also the African History Network. And if you want to bring me in to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at info at africanhistorynetwork.com, info at africanhistorynetwork.com. Okay. All right. Now, anytime I do a presentation, I know I'm going to say some things people never heard before. I may say some things people don't like. Probably will say some things people don't like. Probably say some things people disagree with. So I usually say something like this: the space inside this circle represents my realm of knowledge. Everything that I think I know about whatever I think I know is represented within the circumference of this circle. I must keep in mind that there are still things to know that exist outside the circumference of my own awareness. Now, the reason why I say that is because oftentimes when people hear something that contradicts what they've been taught, what they believe, or what they think they know, they automatically reject it without doing any research to determine the validity of the new information. And at the same time, they usually don't use that same level of scrutiny to analyze, critique, or reevaluate what it is they believe or what they think they know. Okay. So just because you know everything that you know about what you know does not mean you know everything there is to know about what you know. There's still things that exist outside the circumference of your own awareness. All right. Now, okay, so let's see here. Okay. So hopefully everybody understands that. All right. So as I explained to people oftentimes, as African people, we're at war. We've been at war over 500 years. We can go back at least to 1492 with Christopher Columbus, okay, and his 4 voyages. And contrary to popular belief, Columbus never came to the land we call the United States of America. He never came to the land we call the United States of America. So we have to stop lying to our people, and lying to our children, telling them that Columbus discovered America, okay? We have to stop lying, telling them that, okay? He went into the Caribbean. He went into South America and Central America. He never came to the land we call the United States of America. All right. All right. Just a second. Let me block Ryan. Patrols want to come on here. Okay. So we block Ryan. Bye-bye. Okay. So, all right. Okay. All right. We can leave Ryan alone. He's gone. All right. Okay. So I deal with the fact that the war never ended. Number one, it didn't end with the 13th Amendment, okay, which ended slavery. So we know the Civil War ends June 2nd, 1865. 13th Amendment is ratified December 6, 1865. It's adopted December 18th, 1865. All right. And the 13th Amendment says that involuntary servitude or slavery is prohibited unless you're duly convicted of a crime. So then they're going to implement the Black Codes, right? They implement the Black Codes, which are laws that regulate the movements of African Americans. And they're going to use the sharecropping system and the convict leasing system to re-enslave African Americans to have control over our labor. Okay. There were at least 262 skills, trades, and crafts that African people had in this country from 1619 up until 1865. And if you in the online class that I do, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, that class is on Friday. Yeah, I block Ryan. I don't have time for trolls. We're dealing with facts and evidence here. You know, if you want to deal with this type, if you want to deal with nonsense, go somewhere else and deal with that. Yeah, 1971. Richard Nixon declared his war on drugs June 17th, 1971, based upon lies. Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions are trying to ramp up the war on drugs all over again based upon lies. And if you were paying attention during the campaign, I heard over 100 campaign speeches that Donald Trump gave. I heard over 100 campaign speeches that Donald Trump gave. I read hundreds of articles about him. I read articles dealing with fact checking his statements. About 88% of the time he was lying. Between 80 to 88% of the time he was lying. Okay. And he was misstating the facts. We saw back in, I think it was March, he met with members of the National Sheriff's Association. Okay. And he misstated the national murder rate. He said murder is at a 45, 47-year high. No, it's not. It's at about a 45-year low. The national murder rate is at about a 45-year low. Okay. He keeps lying about this stuff to justify a ramping up on the war on drugs, and Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, is doing the same thing. Okay. And if you study why marijuana was made illegal in 1937, it was based upon lies. We deal with this in the class. Harry J. Anslinger, we deal with this in the class, and also other laws. Cocaine used to be legal. Okay. But when African-American men are using cocaine, white people are afraid that they're going to rape white women when they're high on cocaine. Opium used to be legal. All this stuff used to be legal. There wasn't a problem until people of color started using these different drugs. That's when the real problem came. As long as white people were using the drugs, it wasn't a problem. Okay. Cocaine, opium, marijuana, all this stuff. As long as white people were using it, it wasn't a problem. All right. So we deal with Ronald Reagan's war on drugs, 1982, which he declared prior to crack cocaine becoming an epidemic, not because crack cocaine became an epidemic, but prior to crack cocaine becoming an epidemic. Okay. You need to run for office with Dr. Watkins. Okay. Yeah. Boyce is a friend of mine, but I don't want to run for political office. All right. I don't want to run for any political office. There'd be too many constraints on me. Politics is important, but I don't want to run for any political office. All right. But thank you. All right. And so then we deal with 1994, right? And the crime bill. And we break down the crime bill because a lot of people don't understand the 1994 crime bill signed into law September 13th, 1994 by President Bill Clinton, right? First of all, Bill Clinton signed it his second year in office, but Senator Joe Biden worked on that crime bill for 6 years. That was really Joe Biden's bill. Senator Joe Biden was the chief architect and main sponsor of that crime bill. It was Joe Biden who said we need to have harsher, longer sentences in the bill to get Republicans to vote for this bill. So this was a Southern strategy used to bring back those Reagan Democrats who voted for Ronald Reagan in 1980, okay, and voted for him again in 84. This was a strategy to bring back those Reagan Democrats to show that Democrats could be tough on crime. But at the same time, crime was buck wild across the country. The gang wars and shootouts with the police, crime was buck wild across the country. So in the African American community, you have many people saying we need to get tougher on crime. We need more police on the streets. All across the country, they were saying this. But crime was also buck wild in white communities as well. Because when you actually do the research and you look at the study from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, which dealt with homicides from 1980 to 2008, I think it was, homicides from 1980 to 2008, you see that the 53% of those who committed gang murders or gang-related murders, 53% of them were white. Because white gangs were buck wild also. Now, when you talk about street gangs, people think about Black street gangs or Hispanic street gangs. No, white street gangs were buck wild in the 80s and 90s also. They were doing a lot of killing as well. Okay, so people across the country were asking for more police. People across the country asking for bans on assault rifles, things like this. So we get into the crime bill, because there were some bad things in the crime bill, but there were some good things in the crime bill also. You needed, when you had a ban on assault rifles, on the sale of assault rifles, you saw the murder rates go down also. Because assault rifles, the high caliber bullet, high capacity clips, the size of hole, the type of damage it does to the human body, that increases the probability of being killed. Okay, so we really break down the crime bill because a lot of people don't understand it. Just like a lot of people don't understand NAFTA. Okay, people blame Bill Clinton for NAFTA. Well, Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, but who negotiated NAFTA? NAFTA was negotiated by President George Bush Sr. NAFTA was negotiated by President George Bush Sr. October 7th, 1992, he spoke and it was covered by CNN. This was the month before the 92 election. And George Bush Sr. is talking about NAFTA and how great it would be, how great it's going to be, because he was the one that negotiated it. Then when the new Congress came in, okay, in I think it was December of 92, they passed the NAFTA law that Bush negotiated. Then when Clinton takes the oath of office, January 20th, 1993, he signs NAFTA into law because the new Congress passed it because the previous president negotiated NAFTA. So people don't talk about that. See, they don't say, wait a second, this was a Republican president who negotiated NAFTA. I wonder why they don't talk about that. Very interesting. Okay. The other thing is, why didn't Black Lives Matter protest against Joe Biden for writing the crime bill? If you protest against Hillary Clinton for advocating for the crime bill and she wasn't in political office, but you don't protest against Joe Biden, who actually wrote the crime bill and was the chief architect of it and worked on that crime bill for 6 years. But you protest against Hillary Clinton for advocating for the crime bill. Why didn't you protest against Bernie Sanders? Because Bernie Sanders voted for the crime bill when he was in the U.S. House of Representatives in 1994, because he's been in Congress 25 years. Why didn't you protest Bernie Sanders for voting for the crime bill, but you protest Hillary Clinton for advocating for the crime bill, but she wasn't in political office at the time? She was first lady, but you don't protest against Joe Biden, vice president, for writing the crime bill. I just find that just astonishing. But you know why? Because a lot of them don't know this. That's why. A lot of them don't know this. I'm not against the Black Lives Matter movement, but I tell people, if you're going to engage in law and all this stuff, you have to understand law. You have to understand history. You're going to be an activist. You have to understand law. You have to understand history. Because unfortunately, a lot of them mean well, but a lot of them don't. Because I'm listening to what they're saying, and I can tell a lot of them don't understand this stuff. A lot of them don't understand this stuff. Okay, let's continue because I got to teach this class shortly. Okay, how's everybody doing on Facebook? How's everybody doing on Facebook? Yeah, and I saw an interview that Roland Martin did with the two Black Lives Matter activists that in Philadelphia, they confronted Bill Clinton last year about the crime bill, and Roland said, why don't you protest against Joe Biden because he wrote the crime bill? And they said most people don't know that. I don't think they knew until he told them. So you only protest what people know about? Is that what you're saying? Doesn't make sense. You have to understand history. You have to understand law. Okay, let's continue quickly. Okay, how's everybody doing on Facebook? Sharita, Perry Alexander. Okay, now who needs me to post a link again so you can register for this course? Because we're teaching this course tonight. We're starting up in a few minutes. Richard Nixon's War on Drugs and the War on the African American Community. Okay, it's an online course. I teach it. We're doing a brief overview of the online course here. If you need me to post a link again, go ahead and just let me know, and I'll post the link again. All right. Now, one of the things we deal with is how frequent exposure to the videos of African Americans being shot and killed by police, and we see them over and over again in media. Okay, how this inflicts trauma upon African Americans. Right. The other thing is that when you study a branch of genetics called epigenetics, okay, epigenetics deals with how trauma alters your DNA. Okay, we just posted the link again. Click on that link. The class is only $15. Class is going to blow you away. Okay, it's we're doing it tonight. I'm going to start in a few minutes, and then it's going to be the next 2 Mondays. Okay. Basically 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the sessions are recorded. Anything you miss, you can go back and watch it over and over again. All right. So you have a lady named Dr. Rachel Yehuda. She's done extensive research in this field of epigenetics. And I read the paper that she wrote for the New England Journal of Medicine. Okay. It cost me $25 to pay to get that paper. All right. What happens is when you are exposed to trauma, it alters the FKBP5 gene of your DNA, the part of your DNA, FKBP5, the part of your DNA. It alters that, and it causes elevated stress hormonal levels. And you can pass on this altered DNA to your children. So if you are a victim of rape, and what she did was she did experiments with Holocaust survivors, Jewish Holocaust survivors, and they were able to discover this. So a lot of people ask, well, wait a second, if that happens to Holocaust survivors, and they went through the Holocaust for a few years, not trying to mitigate what they went through in the extermination of 6 million people, then what about African Americans? What about African people who went through hundreds of years of the transatlantic slave trade? Okay, and the atrocities that we saw, and then Jim Crow era, okay, post-Reconstruction, all this, the atrocities inflicted upon us, but also the bombardment of police videos that we see of African Americans being killed over and over and over again. That inflicts trauma upon us. Okay, so not only are many of us dealing with a post-traumatic stress disorder, but not only are many of us dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, but we also, many of us have altered DNA as well behind this. So we deal with this in the course. Okay, so in 1971, Richard Nixon declared his war on drugs, right? And there was an article from April 2016, the cover story for Harper's Magazine. It was called "Legalize It All." Now, this was written by a journalist named Dan Baum. Now, Dan Baum, I'm sorry, it came out in 2016. It was about a 1994 interview that Dan Baum did with John Ehrlichman. Okay. Now, John Ehrlichman was Richard Nixon's domestic policy advisor. John Ehrlichman was Richard Nixon's domestic policy advisor. Okay. And Ehrlichman talked about the war on drugs and what the war on drugs was really about. Okay. And if you have any questions, comments, just post it right here. You can, and we posted a link. You can register for the course, so go ahead and register for that. Some people wait until I finish so they can register for the course. Who wants to register for this course that we're teaching tonight? That I'm teaching tonight. We're just doing a brief overview here. Who wants to register for this course that I'm teaching tonight? Richard Nixon's War on Drugs and the War on the African American Community. Okay, so what he did was he interviewed John Ehrlichman. So Ehrlichman was Nixon's domestic policy advisor. Okay, and Ehrlichman said that the war on drugs, which Nixon declared June 17, 1971, was a war on the African American community and the war on the hey Nagesti, how you doing? War on the African American community, and it was a war on the anti-war movement. Okay, the hippies. All right. And he said that we knew that by associating heroin with the African American community and marijuana with the hippie movement, the anti-war movement, he said we knew we could do surveillance in their communities, we could arrest their leaders, we could raid their offices, all different types of things like this. Okay. And this is what they did. All right, so we deal with that because that was very revealing. That confirmed for a lot of people what the war on drugs was really about. And once again, under the Obama administration, you had a winding down on the war on drugs. There's been a winding down on the war on drugs under the Obama administration. Now, people that don't do research don't know this, okay? But under Donald Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions, they're about to ramp up the war on drugs all over again. They're about to ramp up the war on drugs all over again. Okay. And who you think is going to be the target? All right. Now, So we deal with Nancy Reagan and the Just Say No campaign, which was horrific, and it was a failure. It was a failure. Okay. And Nancy Reagan goes on the TV show Different Strokes in 1986. Okay. And utters the words just say no. But the Just Say No campaign helps to lay the foundation for the school to prison pipeline. It was a failed campaign also. Okay. And this is from Different Strokes. I remember when it aired. In what is perhaps Nancy Reagan's most well-known cultural contribution, the First Lady stared gravely into the camera and told the American people to just say no. Our job is never easy because criminals are ingenious. She said in the 1986 address, they work every day to plot a new and better way to steal our children's lives, just as they've done by developing this new drug crack. For every door that we close, they open a new door. Okay. So then she uttered the famous line, say yes to your life. And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no. Okay. But the Just Say No campaign didn't work. If you actually study this information, the Just Say No campaign didn't work. All right. Now, Just Say No came out of Operation Dare. Okay, came out of Operation Dare, drug abuse resistance education. Okay, this comes out of California, and Operation Dare was the most widespread educational program operating under the Just Say No philosophy, and it was essentially a failure at dissuading people from drugs. And Dare brought law enforcement officers into classrooms once a week or so to tell young people why they should stay away from drugs. But researchers found that teenagers who enrolled in the program were just as likely to use drugs as those who did not receive this training, according to Scientific American, which is a scientific journal website. Okay. Now, also what's going to happen is that the Just Say No campaign was a precursor to the Drug-Free Schools and Communities Act of 1986 that Congress passed into law, and Ronald Reagan signed into law. And this law mandated zero tolerance for any drugs or alcohol found on public school grounds. Okay. And what this did was this put police officers in the schools, and then these police officers are going to disproportionately arrest African-American and Hispanic students. And this is the foundation to the school to prison pipeline. This is the foundation to the school to prison pipeline right here. Okay. And this comes from Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign and this war on drugs declared by Ronald Reagan in 1982. And this is an example of how policies impact every aspect of our life. This is an example of how policies impact every aspect of our life. Okay. Two main ways to understand politics. Number one, the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources. Number two, the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Every politics, laws, policies, they impact every aspect of our life. Okay. If you get this, if you download this document here, everybody should download this document I'm about to show you. Okay. Name of this document is What Did Trump Do? What did Trump do? Okay. This is from the Congressional Black Caucus. It just came out last week. I think it was last week it came out. And this looks at, you can download it from our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can go to cbc.house.gov also, cbc.house.gov. When I tried it, the website was down. But we have it right on the homepage of our website. Just click on the link there. You can download it. It's free. It's 20 pages. What did Trump do? Okay. Hashtag. This is a hashtag Stay Woke list. Okay. What this does is this looks at the first 100 days of the Donald Trump administration and looks at policies. It looks at executive orders that he signed. It looks at appointments that he's made, policy changes, things like this. And it deals with how these policies impact the African-American community, how these policies impact the African-American community on all different levels. Okay. And they look at criminal justice reform. They look at cabinet appointments, economic development, education, environmental justice, healthcare, homeland security, immigration, housing and home ownership, a number of different categories here. Check this out. Okay. Show this to your millennials, because a lot of them don't understand how politics impacts every aspect of their lives and don't understand how important voting at all different levels are important. Not just president, but president is extremely important. Why? Because the president there are 4,000 positions that Donald Trump has to fill in his administration. There are 4,000 positions that Donald Trump has to fill in his administration. Okay. So the people that told you don't vote, they didn't say, wait a second, the next president is going to have to appoint an attorney general. Attorney general is going to be over the investigations to the patterns and practices of police departments, or they can stop doing these investigations, because Attorney General Jeff Sessions is against these investigations into the patterns and practices of police departments. There were 25 under President Obama. That's the most out of any presidential administration. There were 25, which led to about 14 or 15 consent decrees. Okay. And Jeff Sessions is a person who is very hard on crime. He's for longer, harsher sentences. He wants to ramp up the war on drugs all over again. And this is all going to be devastating for the African-American community. Okay. Marva said, how can we get a bigger platform for you? Share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Ask people to join the Facebook fan page. Okay. And if you want to bring me in to do a presentation for your group or organization, you can email me at info@africanhistorynetwork.com, or you can email me through our website, africanhistorynetwork.com also. Okay. All right. So did y'all learn anything tonight? Did y'all learn anything? Hopefully you did. You need me to post the link again so you can register for this online course I'm about to teach. Yeah, because I'm going to do it because I have to be on the radio. I have to drive to the radio station. I got to be on the radio at 11 p.m. Okay. Always, hey, Nita, how you doing? Always learning. Okay, so here's the link here. You can register for this online course. I'm getting ready to teach it, and we'll actually do 3 sessions. Well, it's going to be 2, but I'm going to add an additional session, a 3rd session. So we're doing this class is really on Monday nights. We're doing it tonight. Last night I was really tired because I had to do Sunday night I had to do my radio show on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation here in Detroit, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then I had to teach an online class on Sunday from like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I got to bed late Saturday night. And so Monday I was just tired. I couldn't teach class Monday. Okay. So we're doing it tonight, but this story broke tonight, and I was already going to talk about one of these stories, but the story with FBI Director James Comey broke. So I said, look, I gotta talk about this. Okay. Now somebody just posted impeach him now. Now keep in mind, impeachment does not mean removal from office. Impeachment does not mean removal from office. Impeachment just means that the president is put on trial. It does not mean removal from office. If we look at Richard Nixon resigned from office before he was impeached. Okay. Now with Trump, I think Trump is going to have to be forced to resign from office. Trump is a pathological liar. Okay. And if we look at the article from rawstory.com, its official top psychiatrist at Yale conference warned that Trump has a dangerous mental illness. Okay. This is from rawstory.com, April 21st, just last month. And they say that he has a particularly malignant case of pathological narcissism, which makes him a danger to the country and the world. We'll post this article here on the thread of the broadcast. But when you look at him, so here's the thing. He's a pathological liar. Okay. So the last thing that a pathological liar wants to happen is that they're put on trial with penalty of perjury if they lie. That's the last thing a pathological liar wants to happen. Okay, so he will probably be forced to resign from office And there's going to be more focus on the Russian investigation now, because we found out March 20th, when FBI Director James Comey testified in front of the U.S. Senate, we found out that they had been investigating the Trump campaign going back to July 2016. Okay, so the more Trump tries to do to deflect from the Russian investigation, the more focus he puts on the Russian investigation, and the more it's becoming clear that you have to have an independent investigation. We're going to post this article here. This is from the New York Times. No, this is from Washington Post, because I have digital subscriptions to the Washington Post, New York Times, and the nation.com, because I read so many articles from them that they only allow you to read like a certain amount of articles each month, then you have to pay. So I exceed that. So I had to get a subscription to them. FBI Director Comey confirms probe of possible coordination between Kremlin and Trump campaign. Check that out also. Okay. So hopefully you all learned something tonight. Let me get to this last. I got to cover this last article because we talked about it. Okay. And if you need me to post a link, do you need me to post a link again so you can register for the class I'm about to teach? Richard Nixon's War on Drugs and the War on the African American Community, because we get into a lot of history in that course. Also, the course is only $15, and it's going to be 3 sessions. It's tonight, and then the next two Tuesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everything's recorded. We do it live. You can ask questions during the class. Everything's recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. Okay. There's a big cover-up going on in Washington. Yeah, there's a cover-up going on in Washington, but I'm telling you, the truth is coming out. And that's what's scaring Trump. The truth is coming out. Okay. And what you're going to find out is he's the first Russian elected president, okay, of the United States. You're going to find out Vladimir Putin's behind all of this. The Russians are behind the hacking. Vladimir Putin's behind all of this. You're going to find out he owes Russia a lot of money. Okay. And that 35-page dossier is damaging to him. The FBI, in their investigation, they're going through corroborating elements from that 35-page dossier. Okay. And I need to set up my DVR to record MSNBC, because it's going to be hot. Okay. So this is what you're going to find out. All right. Okay. So this last story, I have to cover this very quickly. This is from the root.com. Okay, this deals with a lawsuit filed by the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. Mississippi Sheriff's Department illegally targeted Black population for decades. Mississippi Sheriff's Department illegally targeted Black population for decades. This article, this came out yesterday. I think this is May 8th. This article came out 2017. All right. So it talks about a lawsuit filed on Monday, May 8th. Against the Madison County, Mississippi Sheriff's Department. Madison County, Mississippi Sheriff's Department. It was a lawsuit filed by the American Civil Liberties Union that alleges that the law enforcement agency encroached on almost every aspect of the lives of African American citizens who lived in the county. This was according to theguardian.com. So the Guardian had this big article that talked about this. Okay. And let's see here. Okay. Yeah. So the Guardian.com, which is a UK publication, had a big article about this. So Madison County sits smack dab in the middle of Mississippi, just north of the city of Jackson, Mississippi. Now, the city of Madison is 85% white, while the county seat of Canton is 75% African American. Now, it is the richest county in the state, but most of that wealth is concentrated in white areas. Now, according to the complaint filed by the ACLU, the Madison County Sheriff's Department has routinely terrorized the majority African-American citizens of Canton with illegal searches, warrantless arrests, and brutal violence, while 38% of the county's population is African-American. African Americans make up 78% of those who are arrested. Okay, so they make African Americans make up 38% of the county's population, but make up 78% of those who are arrested. Okay. Now, the USA Today calculated that in 2011 to 2012, Madison County's per capita arrest rate for African Americans was more than 6 times the rate for whites. Now, according to this lawsuit, this has been going on for decades in this county in Mississippi. Okay. Now, in a situation like this, the Department of Justice could investigate the patterns and practices of this sheriff's department. But under Jeff Sessions, he's against doing that. So you don't even have that. Okay. Now, Hillary Clinton was going to, if you read Hillary Clinton's policies, because I read her policies and Donald Trump's policies at their website, and I listened to numerous speeches from Hillary Clinton, interviews, things like this. The trajectory and the winding down on the war on drugs and all this stuff, she was going to continue that. And you can read her policies. You can still go to the website, HillaryClinton.com, and you'll see that. If you read Donald Trump's policies, his 13 policies he had at his campaign website for a long time, DonaldJTrump.com. If you read his policies, and if you looked at his, if you listen to his speeches, you could see coming what he's doing. Okay. So this is extremely important. This is an example of how elections have consequences. Now, much of what the lawsuit alleges is focused on Madison County Sheriff's primary tool for targeting the black population. And the tool they used were roadblocks. Okay. According to the lawsuit, the county regularly sets up roadblocks outside housing projects and black businesses, and which are in majority black businesses and in majority black neighborhoods. Okay, they regularly set up roadblocks outside housing projects and black businesses and in majority black neighborhoods. Now, the class action lawsuit, the class action civil rights lawsuit cites the fact that between May and September, 81% of the people arrested at these roadblocks were African Americans, although they make up just 1/3 of the population in the county. Okay, so this is in Mississippi. This is Madison County, Mississippi, and they're using the police to terrorize African Americans. So then, when you get stopped at these roadblocks, they write tickets, the things like this. They over criminalize, over police, they fine you, etc. And oftentimes you'll see these counties, you'll see these cities, just like we saw in Ferguson, Missouri. You'll see them targeting African Americans and using fines, writing tickets, etc., to balance their budgets and to generate revenue. And they're doing this on the back of African Americans. Okay. All right. So check out this article from theroot.com, written by Michael Harriet. Mississippi Sheriff's Department illegally targeted black population for decades. Mississippi Sheriff's Department illegally targeted black population for decades. Okay. Let me post the link again. And this is why elections have consequences. I warned people for months about Donald Trump. People thought it was cute to vote for Jill Stein. They thought it was cute to sit at home, not vote. Things like this, write in Bernie Sanders' name, all different types of nonsense like this. I warned people what was going to happen. Okay. And look at what we have now. All right. And this is why November 6, 2018 midterm elections, people have to vote in midterm elections, because midterm elections are extremely important. Midterm elections are extremely important. You have all 435 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives that are open in midterm elections, and you have, I think it's 35 seats in the U.S. Senate that are open. Okay, midterm elections are extremely important. All right, so we just posted a link there. You can register for this course. I'm getting ready to start it up, getting ready to teach it. Okay, getting ready to start it up, and so if you don't vote, you suffer the consequences. That's what it is. All this stuff deals with policy, politics. Number one, legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources. Two, politics, the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. All right. So, you suffer the consequences. And when you have bad information, you make bad decisions. And this is what a lot of our people did. And you had rampant voter suppression. I warned people about the Russian hacking. I warned people about the rampant voter suppression that was taking place. New voter ID laws in 14 states, 868 less polling locations to vote at by design. Okay. Okay. Not free man. Yeah, you free man. Most of you Moors are broke as hell too. I'm very familiar with your information. Most of y'all broke as hell also. So you show me where you control your economy. Show me where your multi-story buildings are. Show me where your radio stations, your gas stations, your grocery stores are. Show me where your dry cleaners are. Show me where you control the economics, the police force, the politics. Show me your media, all that. Show me where that is. Because I'm very familiar with Moors, and I've been in your classes. I'm very familiar with all that Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, 1787. Half y'all work for white people. So come on, man, get out of here with that nonsense. Okay, law has its place, but law comes from politics. Your treaties were you had to have somebody who had authority on behalf of the United States to sign your treaties. So they had to be elected through a political process. They had to be elected through a political process. Okay. So I'm very familiar with all that. The petition of the free sundry Moors of South Carolina of 1739, I think it was, petition of the free sundry Moors who didn't want to be held to the Negro Act of 1740 or something like that. I'm very familiar with that. Treaties of contract. I know treaties of contracts. I'm very familiar with all that information. And I also know most of y'all broke as hell too. I know that also. Explain that one to me. Explain how you got all this knowledge of law and most of y'all broke as hell. Explain that one to me. I'm very familiar with that. I've been to your classes. Okay, so we got to get out of here. I got to teach this class. Hey, remember at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.